Every 48 seconds, one person dies from hunger in the Horn of Africa. The worst famine in more than 40 years is now ravaging the continent, and many of the victims are children.
A perfect storm of back-to-back drought, COVID-19, and fallout from the Ukraine war have combined to create the dire situations. George Thomas brings us this first-hand look at the growing crisis.
Fatuma Abdi Aluhu has just buried her two sons here on the outskirts of Mogadishu, Somalia. She lays a thorny branch on their graves to protect the bodies from wild animals. Both died from starvation.
I wanted to die before them so they could bury me, but both of them died before me.
Somalia and its neighbors in the Horn of Africa, including Ethiopia and Kenya, are facing unprecedented drought conditions.
We've had 4 failed rains. The drought that we're currently seeing in the Horn of Africa is the worst drought in over 40 years.
On average, one person dies every 48 seconds from hunger in the Horn of Africa.
Because of the drought, many water sources have dried up. Many wells have also dried up.
With crops failing, the United Nations says some 22 million people are at risk of starvation. Many of them farmers who only grow enough food to feed their own families.
People will be forced to flee to look for food. People will have to try and find a way to survive. And obviously this entails very perilous journeys for people who are already marginalized.
Many in the region who rely on livestock for livelihood have seen massive numbers of their animals wiped out.
For example, in northern Kenya, we've lost about 1.5 million heads of livestock. Similarly, in southern Ethiopia, we've lost over 2 million. In Somalia, we even stopped counting.
In Somalia alone, around 8 million people, or half the population, are experiencing crisis hunger levels. 1 in 3 children face chronic malnutrition.
I've been shocked to my core these past few days by the level of pain and suffering we see so many Somalis enduring. Famine is at the door.
Anne Kasambo oversees CBN's offices in Kenya. In partnership with Operation Blessing, they've been distributing food and other aid supplies to some of the hardest hit regions of her country.
It's been quite devastating in some communities, and especially in the arid areas where even when there's rain, food is hard to come by because they're not able to grow their food.
4 consecutive droughts and African economies still reeling from the coronavirus pandemic have created these dire conditions.
As if that was not enough, the situation has been aggravated by the current conflict in Europe between Russia and Ukraine.
Before the war, Somalia imported 90% of its wheat from Russia and Ukraine, while Ethiopia imported 42%. Kenya, which also imports oil, iron, steel, and fertilizers from Russia and Ukraine, imports 44% of its wheat from both countries. All that has come to a screeching halt since war started. The result? Skyrocketing prices for practically everything.
It has really affected us, especially on food prices. It has also affected the cost of fuel.
When the fuel prices go up, the production cost is higher, so everything is affected.
A new survey found most Kenyans are increasingly turning to their savings or taking out loans in order to meet the rising cost of living.
It's been a build-up from COVID to inflation, to drought, to the war in Ukraine. So just before one situation gets better, another one crops up.
Devastating pictures, as you can imagine, folks. In late August, the first ship carrying grain from Ukraine docked on the Horn of Africa, offloading some 2,300 tons of wheat. That's enough to feed about 1.5 million people for a month. Food experts, as you can imagine, say that's a drop in the bucket, considering the immediate crisis facing millions across the Horn of Africa. Gordon.
Well, George, tell us what efforts are being made to help alleviate this crisis.
Yeah, the United States has committed some $3 billion to the region. The World Food Program, the various arms of the United Nations are trying to get this desperate food supplies into the region. Operation Blessing, as I mentioned, they delivered about 210,000 pounds of critical food supplies to the northern part of Kenya, targeting some of the most toughest areas in those villages, helping some 15,000 families. The expectations in the next few weeks is that they're going to try, they've raised some money, they're going to try and get some of those critical food supplies to those regions in the next few weeks.
So much of this is being caused by back-to-back droughts that's affecting the crops, the livestock. Anything expected to improve on the weather?
Yeah, unfortunately, Gordon, no. Meteorologists who are tracking the rains in the region say there are no rains expected. The rainy season hits the East Africa, this particular area, next month all the way through January. They're saying, I mean, the potential of a fifth consecutive situation of no rains could actually happen, and it could expel a dry season into next year.
Somalia is bearing the brunt of this.
Yeah.
Why is it so much worse there than other parts?
Yeah, in fact, the last time, it's just hard to imagine, right? The last time they had long periods of rain in Somalia was 7 years ago in 2015. Since then, they've had hardly enough rain to drench the dry, parched land of Somalia. You know, half the population, Gordon, has no access to water. And you have mentioned the majority of those in Somalia are either agriculturalists, subsistence farmers, or they're livestock herders. So when you don't have water, you can just imagine the compounding impact of that on the lives of people who are in the Horn of Africa.
I assume this is creating a migration crisis as well, and people are leaving the country. What are the surrounding nations doing? How are they preparing to handle the refugees?
Yeah, very, very tough. I mean, countries like, obviously, Ethiopia and Kenya are bearing the brunt of those Somalis who are fleeing, who have been for the last 10, 15 years, and their economies, the infrastructure aren't able to deal with the situation. And so, you know, trying to get these food supplies into the region to try and stave off the hunger is the attempts by NGOs and governments, African governments, as well as Western countries, trying to help the situation at the moment.
Well, George, thanks for the insight. Thanks for the in-depth report.
The Justice Department is expanding its investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot. Dozens of subpoenas have been issued to aides of the former president. Meanwhile, his legal team is making a startling claim about the documents stored at his home. CBN Washington correspondent Matt Galka reports.
The Department of Justice has seemingly ramped up its investigation into former President Donald Trump and his potential role in the January 6th riots. They've issued subpoenas to associates and advisors of the former president. The DOJ issued about 40 or so subpoenas in the past week to people in Trump's circle. The department also seized the phones of at least 2 former top advisors.
The subpoenas are extremely broad. They're from the Capitol Siege section of the United States Department of Justice's D.C. office, and they ask for broad categories of documents.
The subpoenas reportedly relating to a variety of issues, including fundraising and an alleged plan in various states President Joe Biden won, where fake electors would cast their votes for Trump and not Biden. High-profile conservatives attempted to throw cold water on the new developments as the midterm elections loom in just 8 weeks.
They want to unleash corrupt partisans at the Department of Justice and the FBI to go after Donald Trump to try to distract people.
The subpoenas are separate from the other high-profile case involving potentially highly sensitive documents seized from Trump's Florida residence, Mar-a-Lago. The Trump team now challenging the gravity of the investigation. In a Monday filing, the wording suggests they don't believe the documents are classified and are calling the investigation a, quote, storage dispute.
They describe the records that were seized as purported classified records, which suggests that they do not concede that the documents that were taken were indeed top secret national defense information, as the Justice Department has alleged.
Trump's lawyers requested a so-called special master to review the files independently and review any files that may be covered under attorney-client privilege. The DOJ stated Monday they're okay with at least one of the Trump picks, Brooklyn Judge Raymond Dearie, seen here in a prior courtroom sketch. It's unclear if the judge overseeing the documents case will pick Deary. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attacks promises at least one more hearing before the end of the month and potentially more in October, but potential subject matter and witnesses have not been made public yet. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Turning now to the economy, inflation rose slightly in the last month. The latest report out this morning showing the consumer price index up 0.1% for August. It was expected to drop 0.1%. While gas prices fell, food prices continued to rise. The increase could affect how much the Federal Reserve will raise interest rates next week. It's expected to raise the rates another 0.75%. A brewing strike could send shockwaves through the economy. More than 100,000 railroad workers could walk off their jobs this week. Unions representing engineers and conductors are negotiating with major freight carriers over worker pay and health care. If they don't reach a deal by Friday, passenger service, freight shipments, and supporting industries could be crippled, costing the economy more than $2 billion a day. Members of Congress are working to bring the two sides together. President Biden also said to be in talks. He could order the workers to stay on their jobs. When President Biden pulled U.S. forces out of Afghanistan a little more than a year ago, thousands of Afghans fled, many ending up here in America. CBN's Gabe LaMonica spoke with two refugees in Alexandria, Virginia, working to build a better life far away from home.
The chaotic end to U.S. involvement in Afghanistan. Some 20 years after the 9/11 attacks, this image of people clinging to a U.S. military plane, now history.
I am lucky.
In August 2021, Mobibi Aladodi joined the throng of thousands trying to flee Kabul airport. That forced Aladodi, like so many others, to leave everything behind, including much of her family, now in hiding from the Taliban.
It was not good for us because every Afghan have the same problem. It was security.
Aid workers like Maniza Azizi are helping these refugees build new lives.
I also came here as a refugee. It hit home for me.
At organizations like Homes Not Borders, pulling from stocked warehouses items a family might need for a new home.
I'm actually helping them find jobs. A lot of them are able to find jobs on their own if they've had that skill set.
Since that initial influx last summer, more than 76,000 Afghan nationals have formed a steady trickle into the U.S., with most relocated in communities across the country.
The folks that are not as lucky as are the doctors and the lawyers, because that's, as you know, you have to kind of start from scratch.
Among those starting from scratch, Sami Rouhani, a former Afghan Special Forces officer, now working as a waiter.
It's very hard for the soldiers.
Taking only these military patches while leaving his gun and uniform behind, Rouhani escaped with his wife and son. Back home, Rouhani's brother remains in hiding, unable to leave.
His life is in danger, now. Because of me, I was working with the U.S. Army. Right now, he's not safe.
After years working side by side with American troops, Rouhani does not blame the U.S. for the Taliban takeover. He points to Afghanistan's own leaders.
I'm angry about my president. Why? I feel angry about all of the leadership of our country.
And rather than look back at dreams left behind, Rouhani looks forward.
I have a new dream. All of them is new. Yeah. I was in Afghanistan in Special Forces, but now I want to be a doctor. I want to make a good life in here also. Work hard for my family.
Dodi, too, shares that feeling while building a new life.
I am hopeful, yes.
The resilience, like that of many other Afghan refugees, remains. Gabe LaMonica, CBN News.
Two of what may very well be too many stories to count. Gordon?
Many stories to count, many refugees coming out of that tragic situation. And the video of our exit, all the different times we saw people desperately clinging, desperately wanting hope for their country and realizing, no, hope is not going to be happening here. You hear the reports, the repression of women in Afghanistan today is absolutely horrific. And what can we do? Well, we've pulled out and we said goodbye. And Now we have to deal with the consequences of all of that. So it's a desperate situation for those who are left behind. Well, Steve nearly went flat broke trying to get his salsa business off the ground. After 4 years of struggling, he doubted that it would ever be successful. Then he answered a knock at his door, and today his salsa sales have skyrocketed in excess of $3 million.
The extraordinary story of the original Red Cactus salsa started with a conversation.
In 1994-95 was when the Lord all of a sudden spoke to my heart one morning and said, you know, I want you to do a salsa business. I'm like, a salsa business? You know, he's like, yeah, you know, the one in your family, the sweet salsa, I'd like you to put that on the market. I'm like, well, you know, Lord, I don't know anything about sweet salsa.
Undaunted, Steve Lenbauer and his mom worked on perfecting his Aunt Gracie's old family recipe. Young, unmarried, and a new Christian with a promising career as an insurance supervisor, Steve hadn't been looking for a new direction. That's until he got laid off. He used all his savings and severance to manufacture the product.
I loaded up my trunk and put some 12 packs of product into the back, and I started calling just on grocery stores.
2 years later, struggling with low cash flow and doubt, Steve wavered about what he heard.
I'd almost went broke trying to take care of bills. Sales were good, but I wasn't for sure how to quite get it out there and grow it. And I was also a young guy wanting to start a family. And I finally just screamed out at the Lord. I'm like, Lord, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm going flat broke. I've got a degree. I could be making money. Now look at me. Look at me now.
Steve took a job to support himself and worked his salsa business before and after his 9-to-5. After 2 more years of long hours and endless miles on the road, a knock on his door brought the solution to his problems. A friend's brother shared with him a life-changing principle.
Then out of the blue, he said, Steve, I don't think you're tithing. And as a servant of the Lord, you need to start tithing. You know, I had that look, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. And I don't. And you're right, I should. It was just like an eye-opener. I mean, the Lord tells us to give of our first fruit. He tells us in Malachi to tithe.
Steve decided he was going to tithe. 4 years later, Red Cactus Salsa was fully supporting his growing family.
I was tithing and even probably going beyond the tithe. In 2003, I was making around $40,000, and I was able to tithe $4,700 every year that I continually gave. My salary continued to go up to be able to bring up 4 kids. And not only that, I mean, it's more than just even my salary. I mean, the blessings of family and children and just spiritual blessings, so many things that he gives. He far surpasses out, gives us back.
Every year, the demand for the salsa grew. The company expanded with more products, office space, and a warehouse. In 2016, Steve began tithing off the business profits.
But, you know, we can't outgive him, and I believe, you know, if we support him in the work of getting his name out there, that somehow he takes care of us because he cares about us so much. I know that in my now 26 years of doing this, we have been told by the accounts and even the bigger accounts we go to that it must be an act of God for us to do what we do, because we're just a little old salsa that was out of a little old town that now is, you know, covering half of the nation.
During lockdown, when the world binged on Netflix and snacks, Red Cactus Salsa sales skyrocketed to $3 million. Steve's income increased 40%.
By the time 2020 was over and we're moving into 2021, Red Cactus at that point was doing so well, I mean like crazy well, that we were beginning to become debt-free and no longer have to operate on a loan.
While other snack products lost sales momentum in 2021, Red Cactus maintained their new all-time high.
If not even increased more, so everything that we gained in 2020 continued to go. And I believe all that was for the fact that we stayed our stance in God, kept the tithe, and kept moving forward in Him. God always somehow honors those that honor Him.
In January 2022, Steve was hospitalized with COVID. While recovering at home, he discovered the 700 Club and Operation Blessing.
It's incredible to see how much they're doing, you know, and I thought, as a person and as a business, we love to feed the hungry right here in our community. Here's a group that is feeding the hungry on a worldwide level. I thought, what a great deal. I instantly, that moment, got online, put in my monthly pledge, and began to put it on there. And all I can tell you is after I did that, I had the warmest feeling come over me, like the first time I learned to tithe, and I finally just did it. And my life was blessed. If I've learned anything along the way, is You cannot outgive him. He tells us to tithe, not that he has to have our money, but it's more of a heart issue that if we do it, it opens us up to him and everything that he can do and he will do because he promises to take care of us.
And that promise is for you. Your Heavenly Father wants to take care of you. He wants to provide for you. What is he waiting for you to do? Well, it's quite clear. Look at Proverbs chapter 3, verses 9 through 10. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of all your increase. So your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with salsa. Isn't that great? That's the amplified version. You get to have whatever it is that you want because you've said, God, I put you first. Now, Steve's direction in his life, it's very fundamental, and it reminds me of what my father has taught me. Number one, Lord, what do you want me to do? So here's Steve. He's working. You know, he's got a pretty good job, but God speaks to him about salsa. Imagine that. He gets an idea for salsa, and he says, okay, I'll pursue this. And it's a struggle for him. He's not seeing immediate success. He's doing it out of the back of his Bronco, and he's trying to make it work, and it just doesn't seem to be going well. And then somebody says, Steve, are you tithing? Are you doing it God's way? Or are you trying to do it on your own effort? And when you do it God's way, wonderful things happen. So he started tithing. He started bringing in the first fruits. He started doing it with his salary. He started doing it with the income from the business. And then suddenly, here comes God. His barns overflowing, his vats overflowing. That can happen to you if you just follow the same principle. Lord, what do you want me to do? Give me an idea. Give me an invention. Give me a discovery. Give me something new. Give me something that will help people. What do you want me to do is a great prayer. And then when you have increase, make sure he's first. Honor him first, and then all these other things will happen. If you want to start honoring God with your first fruits, give us a call, 1-800-700-7000. Just realize what Steve realized. You can join tens of thousands of people that want to make a difference in the world. And absolutely, we want to feed people around the world. We want to provide for people. A portion of every gift to the 700 Club goes into the work of Operation Blessing. And right here in the United States, millions of pounds of food every single year are delivered to food banks across the country. We have thousands of partnering food banks. We want to make sure that Americans have enough food on the table. And then we're doing it in your name around the world. You just saw a story where our Kenya office is reaching out to those who are starving in Somalia. You're a part of that when you join the 700 Club. So how much is it? Just $20 a month, that's 65 cents a day. Some of you can join at higher levels. We have 700 Club Gold for you at $40 a month. 1000 Club is $1,000 a year. That breaks out to $84. And when you join the 700 Club, our gift to you is this teaching on one of the best loved passages in the Bible. It's the 23rd Psalm. Now, when you join at 700 Club, you'll receive 1 copy. When you join at 700 Club Gold, you'll get 3 copies. When you join at 1000 Club, you'll get 5 copies, so you'll have plenty to share with your friends and your family. And here's the best part. You'll be learning on a verse-by-verse basis the Hebrew meaning behind the words. You'll also discover the promises, the protection, and provision available to you. I want to do a meditation on the Psalm of David, Psalm 23.
Gordon Robertson presents The Lord is My Shepherd, a Psalm of David.
Each verse is a guide for us in our life. And it's a beautiful illustration for me of how Jesus leads us. What happens when we fully embrace the Lord is my shepherd?
Get The Lord is My Shepherd, the latest audio teaching from Gordon Robertson. Call now or go to cbn.com.
Wow, well, amazing. I want to say this has been one of my favorite teachings, and I think you're going to love it too. I grew up memorizing and loving the 23rd Psalm. You want to get a hold of that. Well, Susanna and her 3 sons live in a shanty. It's made from scrap metal. It's a step up from the lean-to tarp that they once lived in. Her youngest boy cries at night because the family has so little food. Yet, their desperate situation didn't stop Susanna from dreaming. And one day, you made her dream come true.
Susanna is a single mother raising her 3 boys alone. For a whole year after her husband abandoned them, she lived in a lean-to made of tree branches and a tarp near Iquitos, Peru.
When we used to live in the lean-to, the wind blew it down, and we all got wet. We woke up shivering from the cold.
Eventually, Susanna moved to a piece of land given to her by her brother. There, she built a shanty made of scraps of wood and cast-off metal sheets.
I suffered a lot with my boys. When the rains come with strong winds, we felt the house move. The roof made noises, and my sons got scared and cried.
This is 7-year-old Ezekiel.
Sometimes it rained hard. When the wind blew and the rain came in, we got wet.
Susanna did her best to improve the house and roof whenever she found a new piece of metal or scrap of wood.
This place did not have a good roof or strong walls. We had to eat on the floor, and we didn't have a bathroom.
Susanna also struggled to find work. She sold snacks, but her daily income was limited. There was only enough money for them to eat 1 meal a day.
What hurts me is seeing my little brother cry for food because Mom comes home late at night. She worries about my little brother and me.
I worry every single day. I can't help it. It hurts me to watch my children suffer.
Then Operation Blessing offered to help. First, we built Susanna and the boys a sturdy new house.
My biggest dream was to have a safe home for my children, with rooms, beds, and a table so we don't have to eat on the floor.
Her new home has a kitchen, bathroom, beds, table and chairs, just like she asked for.
Thank God. Not only do I have a new house, I also have a refrigerator, pots, spoons, plates, and other items to care for my children.
Then to help her provide for the daily needs of her kids, we gave her what she needed, including training, so she was able to start a business selling food from her new home. Susanna said she now earns nearly 3 times what she used to make selling on the streets.
My brothers and I are happy because they gave my mom a house. Now we eat 3 times a day.
My children sleep comfortably now that they have their own beds. They are safe, happy, and content. Thank you. I am so grateful.
I don't know about you, but I watched the journey of someone like Susanna, and I wonder, how did she keep dreaming? How did she keep that dream alive in her heart? And then heartbreaking to see her children crying for food, and wonder, how does a mom hang on when she can't feed her children? Isn't it amazing that God gives you and I an opportunity right here in the comfort of where we've been blessed to live, to make a difference in the lives of people like Susanna? You know, we get to do that for 65 cents a day, $20 a month. That makes you a 700 Club member. Most of us can afford to do that. There are club levels you can join at. Some of you might already be 700 Club members. Would you go up to 700 Club Gold? That's a gift of $40 or more a month. Or you might jump up to the 1,000 Club level at $84 a month. I mean, the 2,500 Club level is $209 a month. Our founders join us at $5,000 a year. That breaks down to $417 a month. Together, we can make a huge difference. I watched this woman's life. I watched the life of her lives of her children. And don't you know, when they know that Jesus sent this to them, because we pray with people, we tell them about Jesus, his love for them, the gospel message. Those children understand the love of God in a way that Others sometimes don't. Be a part of that. We're out to change the world, not just to feed hungry people, but to change the world with the message of God's love. And we'd love for you to join us in that. Our number is toll-free. It's right there on your screen, 1-800-700-7000. Just call and say, I'd like to join the 700 Club. When you do, we're going to send you this amazing teaching on the Lord is my shepherd. He was Susanna's shepherd, but he's your shepherd as well. And we want you to have this. It's your gift when you join the 700 Club. When you join 700 Club Gold, we're going to send you 3 copies. When you join the 1000 Club, we're going to send you 5, because this is a teaching worth sharing with those that you care about and love. We want you to have it. When you call also, would you do it using Pledge Express? That's electronic monthly giving. It means your bank does all the work. It's pretty wonderful. You can stop it whenever you want. It does save us some additional costs that we can put into the lives of people like Susanna to continue to make a difference. So when you call and say, I want to join the 700 Club and I want to do it using Pledge Express, you're going to get your gift of The Lord is My Shepherd. And then every month for using Pledge Express, you're going to get Power for Life teachings. We think they'll be a great encouragement to you. Just want to say thank you for caring about other people. Gordon?
Well, Brenda Kelly lost her husband. Then she lost everything she owned. Brenda is an 89-year-old widow whose belongings were wiped out by the Kentucky floods. And here's how you helped her rebuild her life.
When eastern Kentucky was struck by heavy rain and dangerous flooding, for many people, the water came with little warning.
It came fast. If we'd waited too much longer, we probably wouldn't have made it out. We watched the water keep coming, keep coming. It got up on my house to here.
Brenda's an 89-year-old widow without much of an income.
And now to go with no husband, nothing. That's all I have.
Brenda lost a lot, but she managed to keep her loved ones safe. The night of the flood, she had family staying over.
We had 3 of our great-grandchildren here. We loaded them in a car. That's where we stayed till it was over. And I tried to tell them, we've got each other.
Operation Blessing quickly mobilized to help families in eastern Kentucky take their first steps toward recovery. Volunteers arrived at Brenda's house, ripped up damaged floors, and tore out flood-soaked drywall.
Operation Blessing is a blessing. They've worked so hard today, and it is so hot. They've moved stuff out, they've carried garbage, they've worked so hard.
Operation Blessing also brought the family emergency meal kits, water, and cleaning supplies to help them get back on their feet.
They have to love people and love the Lord to do things like that for people, or they couldn't do it. They're loving people.
Thanks to the support of Operation Blessing partners, volunteers are helping families with their damaged homes and also bringing much-needed hope.
I would like to say to the partners, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you.
And thank you goes to you. When you're a member of the 700 Club, you're part of everything we're doing around the world, whether that's helping flood victims in Kentucky, providing food in Somalia, preaching the gospel around the world through CBN International, letting the children of the world know the stories of the Bible in their own language through CBN Superbook. You're a part of all of it when you join. If you're not a member, I invite you to call us right now, 1-800-700-7000. Say, yes, you can count on me. Here's my $20 a month. That's how much it is to be a CBN partner. If you're already a member, consider increasing. Consider going to 700 Club Gold at $40 a month. We also have 1000 Club. That's $1,000 a year, and that breaks out to $84 a month. When you call, make sure you ask for Pledge Express. That's electronic monthly giving. The bank is doing all the work, and we can send as our gift to you Power for Life monthly teaching CDs. So you can call and ask for Pledge Express, or you can go to cbn.com and you give monthly on the giving page. You automatically sign up for Pledge Express. We also have a new way to give where you can text the letters CBN to 71777 on your smartphone, and automatically a giving page, a monthly giving page will come up, and you'll sign up for Pledge Express that way. Either way, do it now, 1-800-700-7000. Now, when you become a CBN partner, we'll send you our newest CD. It's called The Lord is My Shepherd. This teaching will take you on a journey through the 23rd Psalm. You'll see how the Good Shepherd meets every one of our needs, and you'll discover what it means to dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Ukrainian troops continue to take back ground in a series of counteroffensives against the Russians. Leaders now claiming their forces have retaken 3,500 square miles as Russian troops retreat, some all the way back to Russian territory, leaving behind weapons and ammunition. The Russians retaliating with airstrikes on infrastructure, knocking out power to thousands. Turning now to the United Kingdom, where mourners continue to honor Queen Elizabeth II in Edinburgh, Scotland. The people stood in lines up to a mile long to pay their respects Monday night. Earlier in the day, her casket was moved to the cathedral in a military procession, the Queen's children walking behind the coffin and holding vigil inside the church. Today, she is flown back to London, staying overnight at the Buckingham Palace before lying in state at Westminster Hall tomorrow. Want to remind you can always get the latest news by visiting our website, cbnnews.com.
Jonathan Isaac made headlines in 2020 when he was the lone NBA player not to kneel for the national anthem during a league-wide demonstration in support of Black Lives Matter. Immediately, he suffered hostility and ridicule. So why did Jonathan stand? He explains in this interview with our sports reporter, Will Dawson.
One player turned towards me and asked, are you going to kneel, Jonathan? And I said, fellas, I'm not going to kneel, and I'm not going to wear that T-shirt. And that was the day before it happened.
During the summer of 2020, protesters took to the streets after the killing of George Floyd. On July 31st, the NBA returned from COVID lockdowns. Like other NBA teams, the Orlando Magic players knelt in protest. Magic forward Jonathan Isaac stood alone. Afterwards, Jonathan faced backlash on social media and from reporters.
Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and part of it is, first off, is my thought that, kneeling or wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt don't go hand in hand with supporting Black lives. Everything that plagues us as a society, I feel like the answer to it is the gospel.
Jonathan is the author of a new book, Why I Stand, detailing his faith journey and standing for what he believes in. His confidence in his convictions might come as a surprise to those who knew him as a boy. Jonathan Judah Isaac was raised in church in the Bronx. However, after his parents divorced, Jonathan moved to Florida with his mother.
Coming from Bronx, New York, a predominantly black community, to Naples, Florida, a predominantly white community, different is exactly what I was. That was the first time that I started to develop a sense of anxiety and really self-awareness that I was different from the other kids and I wasn't fitting in. And so that led me towards basketball, and the girls started to talk to me. The guys wanted me to be on their team. And so that drove me to put every single ounce of, time and practice that I could into basketball.
His game improved through high school, and Jonathan captured the attention of college scouts. Still, he had an intense fear of failure.
I always just felt insignificant and always having to work for somebody else's approval or somebody else's love.
The hard work paid off. Jonathan accepted a full scholarship to play at Florida State University. However, his anxiety followed him on campus.
When you get to Florida State, by all accounts, you had a great season. But behind the scenes, sometimes you would barely even hold it together.
Right.
Why was that?
I had several moments at Florida State of like passing out, of just having panic attacks and anxiety attacks and not really being able to diagnose them until the coaches found out, and we kind of dealt with it to where I was taking anxiety medication to practice and to play.
After only one season in college, the Orlando Magic selected Jonathan in the first round of the NBA draft, the 6th pick overall. What should have been a night of celebration, to Jonathan felt even more like an opportunity to fail.
Everybody else that was there almost felt like they expected to be there. They expected the night to go the way they wanted it to. But for me, it was just passing me by, because of that same, fear and anxiety that was going on the inside of me.
While Jonathan's nagging anxiety continued, something else happened his rookie season.
A teammate invited him to a chapel service. The pregame message challenged Jonathan's thinking in a very profound way.
The chaplain started the message, and so he quoted Luke 6:46 that says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say?" And the verse hit me like just a ton of bricks. And so I just started to reflect on that verse, even in the game at night times, and thinking to myself, that's me.
His spiritual life was further challenged when he met Dr. Hepburn, a pastor who began discipling him.
I looked to him, I could tell you how to be great. And I know that God can lead us all into our greatness.
What was his response to you?
Jonathan's response was, I already know Jesus.
Oh, I did say that.
And he kept it moving. But he didn't know Jesus. No, he didn't know him. He was doing his thing.
Over time, their friendship helped Jonathan consider a relationship with Jesus. After an injury his rookie season, Dr. Hepburn prayed.
So I'm thinking to myself, I've never heard anybody pray like that. I get home that night, and I hadn't knelt down at the side of my bed since I had been in Orlando at all. But I knelt down and I was like, God cares about me. And that was something that was so big for me because I was so used to working for love, working for acceptance, working for attention, to where it was like, I know that I had nothing to do with all of these coincidences and circumstances, but somebody had to be looking out for me.
Jonathan gave his heart to God. With the help of his mentor, Dr. Hepburn, he began growing in his faith.
But the anxiety didn't go away after that. How are you better equipped to deal with it?
He would always talk about speaking the word and saying it out of your mouth so your ears could hear it, developing your relationship with Christ. I think for me, the thing that helped me and is still helping me, conquer anxiety time and time again is being able to look back on these small moments of when I did choose to fight, I did choose to stand, I did choose to, even though I was afraid, to do it anyway, and seeing that God was there for me in those moments, that has helped me to, if I come against another moment like that, I'm like, you know what, I know that God has me.
This season, Jonathan's goal is to stay healthy and take the Magic back to the playoffs. Even more than that, under the microscope of fans and media, Jonathan's focus is no longer on himself and his anxieties, but on others.
I want to be an advocate for, the people who do struggle with anxiety and fear and give them a blueprint that you can defeat it and you can combat it with the word of God, with the love of God, and with having the right people around you. I think the biggest thing for me that I wanted people to see from the book is to get that, for me, it was a journey. I didn't come to, having this, one courageous moment just because I developed that courage right then and there. It was a process. And to really just put Christ on display, that it's evidence that he really can transform your life because he's done that for me. I want my NBA career to just be a platform for Christ.
There's something really inspiring, excuse me, isn't there, when someone really finds out who they are in Jesus and just stands steadfastly in that place. Jonathan's book is called Why I Stand, and it's available nationwide. I want to say also, if you struggle with fear and anxiety like he shared he did, we want to give some help to you. If you'll call us at our toll-free number, it's 1-800-700-7000, or you can contact us at cbn.com. We'd love to send you this resource information on freedom from anxiety. It's not God's plan for us to live with that. He says, I've come that you might have life and have it abundantly. That's not filled with anxiety, so we'd love to help you in that regard. It's also available as a download if you'd like it. Time for some email. Would you like to listen to some of this? And
well, I'll listen to your answers.
No, I'll listen to your answers. This is Karen who writes in, my question is, how do I know if Jesus is listening to me? I talk to him every day and I thank him for things and for the life I have, but sometimes it feels like I've been excluded from God. How do I know if he's listening to me? I feel like I've been excluded from people and family, like I have a plague. Please help me.
Karen, there are a couple things in this question. Let's just deal with the first one, that I think you are under a pattern of rejection. I can get spiritual with that and call it a spirit of rejection, a spirit of oppression, but that may get you looking at the wrong thing. I'd rather have you look at the pattern and the pattern of behavior in your life where something happened to you and you felt rejected. You felt either falsely accused or misunderstood, or people don't want to include me. And And, you know, is it because I'm too young, or I don't talk the right way, or I don't wear the way? Whatever that was, that root, you need to look at it and say, I come against this pattern of behavior. And I want to change this pattern of behavior. Why do you need to change it? Because patterns of behavior prophesy future behaviors. So when you're trapped in a particular pattern of response or action, and you wonder, why do I keep repeating this? You've got to really break it down and say, what was the root cause? How do I get rid of the root cause? How do I now change my reaction, change how I think, so I start thinking people will accept me, people love me, people want to be with me. And the best way to do that is to understand Jesus loves you. Jesus never rejected anybody. He would go to the tax collectors who were rejected by everybody in the culture. He would go to allow people to come and touch. He would let lepers touch him. Isn't that amazing? What the Pharisees said should never happen. The Pharisees dining with him, if he knew what manner of woman this was, he would never let her touch him. He always received everyone, and he will receive you. One of the best ways to know that God is listening to your prayers is to ask him and say, God, here's my prayer, here's my request. Could you show me in the Bible something that was one of your promises for this? And then just be quiet before him. And whatever he tells you, he'll tell you a verse. Sometimes he'll tell you a chapter and verse. Sometimes he'll just bring the verse into your recollection. But he'll answer that prayer. And that way you get proof here. His love never fails. It won't fail me.
Okay, this is Peggy Gordon, who says, my question comes from the passage in Matthew 8:28 through 34. When Jesus sends the demons out from the demon-possessed man into the herd of pigs, and the pigs go over the cliff and drown in the lake, what happens to the demons that were in the pigs? Do they die or go somewhere else?
That's a great question. The Bible doesn't give a specific answer as to what happens to the demons. You know, obviously the pigs drowned, and so they died. Demons are eternal spirits, and they are destined for a lake of fire, ultimately. Jesus says, well, you can cast them into dry places. You can bind them, but you can't kill them. You can't destroy them, because God has given them life. So, you know, when dealing with the demonic, and don't have synthetic demons, but when dealing with the demonic, make sure you're binding and not just releasing them to go oppress somebody else. Here we leave you today with these words from Isaiah. When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. For Terry, for me, for all of us here, God bless you. We'll see you again tomorrow.